Weaver.
From Television City in Hollywood.
Boy, the way Glenn Miller played.
I have a feeling we're not in Kansas anymore.
We're on a mission from God.
Run, Forrest, run!
We can rebuild him. We have the technology.
You had me at hello.
Nanu.
Baby, you're the great.
I'm not going to be ignored.
Here comes the judge. Go ahead. Make my day. I got nowhere else to go!
Small cowbell.
That fashion.
There's anything wrong with that.
You can't handle the truth.
I'm not an actor. I'm a movie star.
That's the story of my life. No respect. I don't get no respect at all.
I'm the dude.
I think this is the beginning of a beautiful friendship.
And now for something completely different.
There's no business like show business, like no business I know.
Welcome to Where Hollywood Hides. My name is Bob McCullough.
And my name is Suzanne Herrera McCullough.
Did I catch you off guard?
No. I was just trying to get a cup of coffee.
All right. Sorry about that. Later.
So, everybody's talking about this
What?
on the news, on the internet. August 15th to August 18th, 1969 was Woodstock. A very big month this month.
That's 50 years ago.
Right. Over 400,000 people showed up at Bethel, New York. There were 33 performers over a 3-day period. Jimi Hendrix was the last performer, which he was my favorite.
Foxy lady.
That's right. And he performed 16 songs in 1 hour. Who does that?
He must not have taken any breaks.
No. And a funny thing I had read, made me laugh. Bob Dylan was asked to perform, and the reason he didn't is because he didn't like hippies.
You're kidding.
I thought he was a hippie.
Wasn't everybody a hippie? Come on.
Well, I guess there were different versions. Anyway, I found that very entertaining.
That's funny.
So where were you in 1969?
I was still
in August.
I was probably in school trying to get out of school at that time. Studying for finals, that sort of thing.
College?
I was in college, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I was in high school.
Yeah. And everybody who went to Woodstock came home covered in mud. I remember that. And
yeah, you wouldn't like that.
I kind of didn't mind missing that part of it, you know.
Yeah, I understand that. So who do we have for today, Bob?
Oh, today we have an interview with a woman who is quite incredible. She has done, I think, just about everything there is to do in show business. She's been a backup singer, a Broadway performer, and a Broadway actress, a television actress. She's been in every movie you can think of. She's an author, a published author, and she's a teacher. Ilene Graff is a New York native who began her career as a teenager when she performed as a background singer and commercial actress, and she went on to actually appear on Broadway in shows like Promises, Promises, Grease, and I Love My Wife. Then, with her Broadway career really underway, she got the real acting bug and came out to Hollywood with her husband, an ASCAP award winner, Ben Lazzaroni, and the two of them really established themselves as Hollywood talents.
What a couple.
No kidding.
Yeah.
Well, her entire family, as you're going to hear, they're so talented it makes you just want to cry.
Yeah.
So Ilene appeared in a number of television hit series, everything from Mork Mindy, Laverne Shirley, Barnaby Jones, Three's Company. I could go on. And then she wound up starring in the hit series Mr. Belvedere, co-starring with Bob Uecker.
Which is a very big hit.
Huge hit. You're going to hear all about that in a very high energy, great conversation with a great lady.
Here's Ilene.
And then as you go along in your life, you sort of realize that the thing that I was most suited for, the thing that seemed to come, lazy people, the thing that was easiest for me was singing. I mean, I started working professionally as a young teenager. My dad was a vocal contractor in New York, which meant that he hired singers for various, jingles or recording sessions or whatever. So I started working at around 14 years old, but I didn't fully commit, I think, until college.
So Ilene, your dad, of course, knew what a good singer was. Did you sing when you were really little? Did he encourage you? Did he say, gee, you have a great voice? I mean, how did that come about?
No, there was none of that. it just was the normal thing. It was a normal, and so hard for people that didn't grow up in it to understand. It just was, you know, Dad went to work and that's what he did. And he sort of assumed that we assumed that everybody could do what we could do. My grandmother was very talented, but my grandmother, of course, grew up at a time where good Jewish girls didn't run off and become singers.
That's right.
Play piano. She used to sneak out of her bookkeeper job and play the piano at the silent movie. And she was a really, really beautiful singer, and she loved to play. She was a great stride piano player. And she really, I think she was the one who started the whole thing, maybe because she wasn't allowed to do it. But she named my father, figured out a way to name my father Jerome, after Jerome Kern, who was her favorite songwriter.
So
I'm sure she found some relative that she was able to name.
Of course.
So what I'm hearing here is that there's a real DNA component to all of this. I mean, it from your grandmother to yourself to your daughter, and then you marry somebody who's a musician.
I think you're right, and I think a lot of it just has to do with how you grew up and what you're used to. And so many people that I met later in my life, especially people who I met through my daughter growing up, and she was always involved in shows and dance and singing. And we would meet parents who said, I don't know what to do with this child. I never had nobody in my family was ever in the arts. And all of a sudden they have a talented kid and they don't know what they're supposed to do. So I found that really charming, because growing up, I only knew this world. This was all I knew.
So having the talent and having a dad with entree to the business and some resources, what happens then at the age of 14?
Nothing career-wise, because like studio singing in that world, well, for me anyway, it was a job here, a job there, a thing here, a thing there. It wasn't like a full-time career thing. I went to school, I went to high school, it was just, I had a pretty normal middle-class life. We lived in Queens, New York, in a middle-class neighborhood. So in terms of a career, I had a normal life. But yes, you're right. And, my mother was very talented. My parents met. They were both music majors at Brooklyn College.
Oh, my goodness.
They piano together.
Wow, talk about DNA. That's
Yeah, she was really something.
So after high school, you know you have this talent. You know you have choices. You could become a nurse. You could become a railroad engineer. Anything, but you don't. But you don't.
Right.
You went off to Broadway, and how did that come about for you?
Well, first I went to college. I went to Ithaca College and was a drama major, which I really needed those years to learn how to do this stage stuff. I did my first show. I didn't do my first show until my senior year of high school, which is when I said, I like doing these shows, because my family wasn't involved in theater. They were just music people. So it was being in a show, like a legit musical, that really turned my head and said, I like this.
So is that where you discovered the meaning of stage presence and the fact that you had some?
Maybe. I just kind of liked the work. I thought it was really fun being in a show and having to do all the things that are involved in being in a show. So I did. I studied. I graduated from college. I went to do my college. Ithaca College had a summer stock company on Martha's Vineyard, and I was on the vineyard doing stock, and I got a call from my dad who said the understudy and pit singer, a pit singer is someone who's, there are singers in the orchestra pit who are essentially part of the orchestra singing backup. So this young woman was leaving the pit and the understudy job at Promises, and I think you can do that job. His friend, my dad's friend, was the musical director, the conductor of the show, and he knew they were looking for someone, and my dad said to his friend, Eileen can do this job. So they arranged for me to have an audition, so I left my summer stock job for a day, flew from Martha's Vineyard to New York, and auditioned for Promises, flew back to Martha's Vineyard, I think the same day, and within a couple of days had that job. So I left summer stock and flew back to New York and into my first Broadway show. So it was pretty heady stuff for a kid right out of college.
Were you terribly nervous at the audition, knowing that your father had recommended you? I mean, that sounds like a lot of pressure for somebody so young.
Oh, that's an interesting question. I never really thought of that before, and no one has ever asked me that question before. Good for you, Susanna.
Oh, thank you, because I put myself in your place.
Susanna's excellent at coming off the wall, believe me.
But I put myself in your place, and I would think that some in your position would feel that at some point.
I don't remember feeling that particularly. I remember feeling like, oh my goodness, I have to get on a plane, I have to go here, I have to be on time, I have to do my thing, I have to get back on the plane, I have to get back to work.
Well, that's good, because you didn't need any added pressure. That's wonderful.
I didn't need any added pressure. The whole experience was it was more exciting than terrifying. I think if I had, the beautiful ignorance of youth, I think if I had been older and more experienced and that happened, I would have been far more nervous about pleasing my dad and pleasing everybody else. And oh my God, what's it going to be like? I just.
And this was
about that.
And this was actual Broadway, right?
Yeah.
I mean, this is the big. There's nothing bigger. This is the big time.
It was the big time. So the audition went well, and I remember the audition itself, and I remember how exciting it was. Back in those days, if you were auditioning to replace somebody in a Broadway show, you actually auditioned on the stage of that show.
Wow.
Because they had the space. Now they do it in rehearsal halls or whatever, but then, and it was between shows, I don't remember if it was a Wednesday or a Saturday, but it was a matinee day, I remember. And so there I was on the stage at the Schubert Theater with just that, that one ghost light on stage, that one rehearsal light that was on stage. And I sang, and they said, thank you very much. And that was that. I didn't even have a callback. And I don't think my dad was in the auditorium, in the theater, at the time of the audition. But of course, he got a full report from his friend who was at the audition.
Of course.
And he was very proud of me. Very, very proud. I did great, and everybody thought I did great. So, it went as well as it could go, I guess, if you get the job, right?
That's right.
So this is an example of something we hear a lot from people in the business, and that is those first opportunities. It really does help to have someone on the inside rooting for you. The word nepotism comes up, but you know what? That's true if you're trying to find a job in a law firm. You really need to know people. And
I think that's right to a certain degree. And as I'm sure you've heard over and over and probably have experienced in your life, that knowing someone only goes so far. You have to deliver. But a lot of people can deliver. So I agree. It is helpful to know somebody, but it's even more important to know your stuff.
That's right.
That's a wonderful thing. Yeah. Yeah. So how many performances did you do of Promises, Promises?
On Broadway,
Yeah.
I didn't do very many. I think I did, I don't know, like 10 performances, something like that is sticking in my mind. And I was there for a year, so I wasn't on very often.
That's quite a bit, though, for somebody as young as you were.
As I look back on it now, to think that they trusted me with those performances on Broadway is really something. But we were very well prepared. We had a brilliant production stage manager, and that's the person who was in charge of keeping the show in shape. And we had understudy rehearsals every single week. And I was at the show every day because I worked in the show. I sang in the orchestra pit, so I was very familiar with the show. So when it was time for me to go on, I was ready to go on because I'd done it. I did it every single week in understudy rehearsal. But still, it's a very different thing doing it in understudy rehearsal with all the other understudies than doing it with the stars on the Broadway stage with all the people there.
Sure.
It was very, very exciting.
So tell us about Grease, how that came about.
Well, I started the show with Barry Bostwick, who was the original Danny Duke.
Right.
I went into the show less than a year after it had been open on Broadway. So I was there early. And the movie didn't come out for another couple of years after I was in the show. But Grease, again, talk about knowing people. It's interesting. The people who did Grease were kind of part of my social crowd. I knew a lot of the people who were in it. I knew a lot of the people in the band. I knew the musical director. I knew a lot of people. So when they were going to be replacing the actress Carol Demas, who was brilliant, to replace her, I don't even know if I had an agent at that point. They just called me in and I auditioned, and I think they were rooting for me. I think they wanted me to do a really good audition because I think they wanted me to be there. That's just a gut feeling. No one has ever said that out loud to me, but I felt very welcome there.
Well, I think I'm sure you had the talent to back it up, and the fact that they wanted you was a perfect combination.
Now, are you living at home at this time?
At home, no. I was on my own. I had an apartment. I had a boyfriend. I was not the boyfriend I married. A different gentleman.
Now, you mentioned you may not have had an agent at the time. Doing Broadway shows and musicals, how do you come about for our audience who maybe are young people who are interested in doing this or in the thick of it? How does one acquire an agent of that sort?
Well, a lot of young performers who go to college and train in musical theater or in theater, most of the major colleges and universities have what they call showcase in New York City, where they will put on a showcase production with their graduates, and they invite all the agents and casting directors to come see their kids. And a lot of people get agents that way. They may not keep that agent, but they are seen by a lot of people, and they can actually get signed to an agent in that way. Or it can be, in New York, you can go to what's called an open call audition. You don't have to be in the union. You can go to these open calls. So, and in fact, that's how our daughter got her union card and got her agent, was through open call. So you get into shows, and then people see you, and you make friends with other people, and someone says, oh, you should go meet with my agent. And so you'll go meet with an agent, and sometimes it works out. So it's a lot of networking, I would say, and putting yourself out there and doing as much stuff as you possibly can, and hoping someone shows up to see your work. And I also know people who are mature, who still don't have agents and still work, because they still go to those open calls, and they're at this point they're union members, and they're really good, and they just book job after job even without an agent. Although it's much easier if you have one, it's possible to work without one.
So after Broadway and musical theater experience, which is a very unique thing on the planet, frankly, how do you make the transition to Hollywood and television and movies, and describe for us a little bit what those differences are? I can't imagine, not everybody who's doing Broadway ever gets a TV series or even gets cast.
Or can make that transition.
The last Broadway show I did was a show called I Love My Wife, which was written by Cy Coleman and Michael Stewart, who wrote Hello Dolly and many other shows. And I got to be in the original cast of that show, and a lot of people came to see it, and it was very, very popular. And that show was essentially it was kind of like a situation comedy with songs. And while I was in the show, I came to a realization. I said to myself, you should be doing like a TV series. You should do like a sitcom. And then, you put those feelings aside, because everybody thinks they should be doing a TV series or a sitcom. Everybody wants to do it. This is great work.
Sure.
And when the opportunity, my husband and I had been married about a year, and the opportunity came up for my husband, Ben Lanzarone, to come to LA and compose music for TV shows. He was offered a position, and we felt, it's time. New York wasn't so great back in the late 70s, and we felt that if we were going to make the next move in our careers, this was the thing to do. So coming to LA right out of a hit Broadway show with representation is probably the easiest way to make that transition, because a lot of people knew who I was because of my Broadway experience, and because I Love My Wife was a hot show for a while, and I had a good agent. So I started going out on auditions very soon. Like as soon as we got here, I was like the new girl in town, and I was interesting, which is good.
What a great place to be.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Really. I look back sometimes, I shake my head and I say, do you know know how lucky you were. And I just started working right away because my talent fit with the kind of TV jobs I was getting.
What was your transition for you personally from New York to LA a big one? Because you're a real New York girl.
Yeah, it was huge and it was hard. It was not an easy transition at all, personally. It was. I came from doing 8 shows a week on Broadway. I did lots of commercials. I did lots of jingles. I was very, very busy in New York, very busy. To come to LA where my days, and I had an apartment in the city and we had a house in the country. So I had a fantastic life, came to LA to a 1-bedroom furnished apartment at the Oakwood.
Oh, yeah. We know that well.
We all were at the Oakwood.
And maybe 2 friends and nothing to do except hope I get an audition that day.
Right.
So until we made a life for ourselves, it was hard.
Sure.
I won't sugarcoat it. It took a long time to feel at home in LA. But then we bought our house. We made some really, really good friends, and it became easier. But it was not an easy transition. Coming to LA was never really on our radar, so it was like, oh my God, we're doing this? Okay, we're doing this. Let's go. Bye.
You were so brave. You and your husband were very brave.
And LA can be a little isolating for somebody who's used to the Sturm und Drang of Manhattan, LA, unless you know where to go to meet people, you're in your car most of the day. It's crazy.
I think you're absolutely right. It is isolating, and that's a good word, and I never quite thought of it in that way before, but it was isolating, being alone in that. And my husband was writing, he's a composer, so he had the living room. We owned 3 pianos in New York. And in LA, we were renting a piano that he set up in the living room, and he's writing, and I was only allowed in the bedroom because he had the
So what was your first gig?
I think my first one was Barnaby Jones. I did a 2-part guest on Barnaby Jones.
When you're transitioning from musical theater and Broadway, Barnaby Jones was a 1-camera show. Had you been trained in that kind of performance?
The technique of acting for camera was not something that was alien. I've been on many, many shoots. What was different is that it wasn't for a 60-second spot or a 30-second spot. You had whole scenes that you got to do with really good actors, and it was really fun. It was very exciting, and everybody was super nice to me, and I enjoyed it very much. It was very cool.
Did you miss the audience factor?
Not when you're doing that work, because it's such different work from stage. You don't miss the audience when you're doing single camera, that kind of drama. But there is nothing like working for a live audience.
Sure.
There's nothing like it.
So you probably are best known for the role of Marsha Owens. Tell us about that role and that show, and do you remember the audition?
Yes, I played Marsha Owens, who was the mom on the half-hour ABC comedy Mr. Belvedere. I do remember the auditions. I always say that the best jobs were the easiest ones to get because you walk into the room and you tick off a lot of their boxes of what they're looking for. So you're not fighting against your natural self. You walk in and they go, oh, she could do this. So it puts you in a really good place. I had an audition in the producer's office and then a callback. And all of these are going well, and they were really, really nice to me. So we got this script, and my husband and I read it, and my husband said to me, oh, this is your job. Don't worry about it. This one's yours.
Really?
Oh, yeah, right.
You could just tell.
He said, no. He said, don't even worry about it. This is yours. I said, oh, okay. And my manner and the way I deal with people and all of that was just what they wanted. So I had I had an audition, a callback, and then you go to network, where you go to whatever network is going to be putting on your show.
That's a big deal. Yep.
That's the big deal. You audition all over again, except this time the brass are in the room, and they're the ones who have the final say. And also there that day at the network audition, were Bob Uecker, who was going to be the star of the show, and a lot of the casting, they wanted to see the chemistry between the husband and the wife.
I have a question about Bob Uecker. He wasn't really a trained actor like you were. How was that working with him?
It was fantastic. We had instant chemistry from the moment we laid eyes on each other. It was like we understood each other. It was really wild. It was quite wonderful because they wanted to make sure that he was happy with whoever was his wife. And being an athlete, athletes are used to being coached every minute of their career. Somebody's telling them what to do, how to do it, move your hands, go, move your foot, go over here, be this way, be that way. And when we were doing the pilot, he said to Christopher Hewitt, who played Mr. Belvedere and was a highly accomplished and well-respected actor, he said to us, "You guys are the pros. You just tell me what I'm supposed to do." He had no ego.
Wow, that's wonderful.
So he wanted to know how he was doing. Give me any tips, give me hints, give me help, whatever you have, just give me. And nobody ever says that, but athletes are used to that. So he was up for anything.
Well,
and he had a lot of experience doing the Miller Beer commercials. He was doing stand-up. He was on the Carson Show a million times. So he had a lot of experience, but he wasn't a trained actor. He didn't need to be. Just Bob being Bob himself, doing what he does, was more than enough.
That's fascinating. So, Mr. Belvedere, you guys had a lot of guest stars, didn't you? A lot of guest appearances.
Yeah, we did. It's funny, Barnaby Jones, there was, that's where I first met Lee Merriweather, who I had adored since she was Miss America. I was a little girl when she was Miss America, and she was always like my favorite Miss America, and there I was working with her on Barnaby Jones. And then she guested on our show, and I said, "I don't know if you remember me, but we did Barnaby Jones together." She said, "Of course I remember you." So that was really cool. Yeah, we had Robert Goulet was on several of our episodes.
Oh, I remember him.
And you sang a duet with him, didn't you?
Yes.
That must have, as a singer, that must have been incredible.
It was so much fun. And my husband wrote the arrangement, and he was on
really?
piano. Oh, yeah. It was just so delightful and so much fun. He was such a great singer, and he really wanted to do well, and he just worked real hard to fit in with everybody, and yeah, those episodes that we did where I got to sing with him were really special for me.
So tell us about your book. We were taking a look, and it looks like a great read.
Well, when you're not, my friend Donna Rosenstein and I we were at lunch one day. We were going to see my daughter in a show, and we were early, and we went and we got some lunch, and we started talking about how when we became mothers, we didn't know anything because we weren't connected with that world. We were in show business. Donna is a cast. She was vice president of casting at ABC. Now she's in charge of casting at Amazon. She's a powerhouse in her business. Highly respected, very busy. And I was a very busy actress, and we didn't know anything about being moms. And we kept saying, "Why do the other mothers always know all that stuff that we don't know?" And she looked me in the eye and she said, "That's a book."
What a great title. So the book we're talking about for the audience is What the Other Mothers Don't Know.
No, What the Other Mothers Know.
Or What the Other Mothers Know.
Excuse
me.
We didn't know anything. It's like, what do we have to learn from the other mothers who seem to know everything there is to know? And we didn't know anything about, where to get the good food or when you have to bring in treats for snack day or, stuff like that. There were all kinds of helpful and handy hints. And we found another person to be our partner, Michelle Gendelman, who was a very successful TV writer, very, very funny, and a very good writer. And we had focus groups with mommies. And we did research for a long time before we actually wrote the book. Because we wanted there to be good tips, but we also wanted it to be funny and lighthearted because we didn't want to scare anybody. We said we want to provide a service, but we want to do it in a very non-scary way. We want it to be funny, be entertaining, but we want to also give out good information. And we got a deal with HarperCollins, and it was really very cool to see your book in print and see your name on a book.
Absolutely.
And you're an author at this point.
So, Eileen, tell us now what you're up to with making the song your own. It sounds fascinating.
Well, a few years ago, Ben and I were talking. We had done a lot of coaching of singers through the years, especially our daughter's friends and my friends, people that would be going in for an audition. Can you help me with this? Can you help me with that? And I said to him, what do you think if we put together a class, like a workshop? Because I've been doing some master classes around, with singing. And he said, well, yeah, we can give it a try. So we came up with this idea of making the song your own. And we believe that every singer has a unique story to tell, and that you can take any song and tell it, sing it through your life experience and bring your story into the song. So we developed this class, this workshop, that we offer 2 to 3 times a year, where people come in a workshop setting and learn how to get in touch with themselves and, more importantly, how to relate to the audience so that through their songs we share our common human experience. It sounds very fancy. It's not fancy.
Eileen, is this for any age?
We've had, our youngest student was 14 and our oldest was 92.
Oh my
goodness. There's hope.
There's hope for us.
How about for those of us who can't carry a tune in a paper bag? Is there any chance of me ever singing a song?
There are very few people who are literally tone deaf.
Well, you're talking to one right here.
People who think they're tone deaf usually aren't, because, I'll have people just sing happy birthday for me or, something simple. And people can mostly hit pitches. They just don't know what to do with what they've got. So we have students with lots of variables in their natural talent, in their experience level, what they want to get out of class, because I want to give each student what they want to get out of class. Some people want to get ready to be able to audition. A lot of my students are not professionals. They were professionals. They were music majors, and then life came along and said, no, you really need to find a job and make some money. So they gave up on their dream. And when they come to class, they've got me time. The only thing they have to do, they don't have to worry about their kids or their job or their health insurance or anything. They're there to sing. You
just described me. I gave up on my dream years ago. I probably should take your class. It sounds very liberating. How does somebody find you and enroll in your class?
I have a Facebook page, and that's the best way. If you're interested in the class, we have a Making the Song Your Own vocal performance workshop Facebook page, and you can direct message me on that page. And that's the best way to find out more information. All the information about the class is there. Also on my website, on IleneGraff.com, I've got a section on the website about the class if you want to find out more about, the nuts and bolts of how we do it and stuff like that. But I will say we've created what I think is a very wonderful community of people who support each other and look out for each other and care for each other and just get together once a week to sing. Everybody makes progress. It's really cool.
And it's very fortunate, whomever your students are, between you and your husband, years and years of extraordinary talent. You don't come by that too often in a workshop.
Real quickly, tell our audience all about Ben, because he's a very unique guy.
He's a very unique guy. He's very impressive, I must say. He started studying music when he was 5 years old. He was one of those kids that just had a crazy natural ability. And he studied and got 2 master's degrees in music. And he has been supporting himself as a piano player from the time he was 13 years old, and has done most everything there is to do in his part of the business. He has conducted Broadway shows. He has written arrangements for everybody from Bobby Darin to Petula Clark and has conducted for lots of those people in their nightclub acts Anthony Newley.
Wow.
Played piano for Frank Sinatra.
These are very big names to our young audience because we have all ages that listen to us. But for the young audience, those were very big names. So, Ilene, I want to ask you, of everything you've done, and you are certainly still doing a lot, can you tell me a favorite category that you've done, or is it just...
I loved doing the TV show. I loved the lifestyle. I loved that we were on a kind of normal schedule. When you do a multi-camera comedy show, you come in at a civilized hour. I took my daughter to school every day. We would work 3 weeks on, 1 week off. So I had a real normal life.
Yeah, that's important.
For me, it was super important. And I got to work with really funny people who had me in stitches all day long. It was a beautiful set. It was very friendly. It was very warm. It was a great experience. So I loved doing that. But I love to sing. And few things bring me the same kind of pleasure as just singing, which is why I try to do my cabaret shows as much as possible. We've got one coming up in December 21st here at Feinstein's at Vitello's in Studio City. It's our holiday show that we did a couple of years ago, and I was strongly encouraged to bring it back this year. So we're going to be doing that in December, and just working on these concerts and just the physical act of singing brings me just so much pleasure.
For people in the LA area, December 21st sounds like it's going to be a date.
It's a date. It's a date, everybody. Come to Studio City.
Absolutely.
Michael Feinstein has become a partner with Vitello's in Studio City, which is a beautiful room. It's like a nightclub kind of room, cabaret concert kind of place. And I've been singing there for years. And Michael came in, and he's sprucing it up even more. And so we will be there December 21st. It's a Saturday night with a really fun holiday show, lots of holiday music and other kinds of music. I have special guests, including my brother Todd, who is a Tony nominee. My brother currently writes and directs movies, but he had a career on Broadway as well, and he's a beautiful singer. So he'll be with me, and we'll have lots of other special guests and surprises, and it's a really fun show. It's a great way to kick off the holidays.
What an incredible family you have.
My gosh.
Yes, and my cousin Randy is a Tony Award winner.
Oh my God, I'm so jealous. Stop. This isn't fair.
She was the original Santine on Broadway in Les Mis.
This is not... Wait a second. There's no talent left. You guys took it all.
Yeah, there's no talent left in the world.
My God.
It's really, it's very comforting to be, and my cousin Lori also was an actress. She's doing PR now, but she still acts from time to time. She was on Broadway and has toured the country and in very fancy shows. Very talented, and our family, we have a great comfort level.
I'm not religious in any way, but you people have been blessed.
Yeah, I'm not religious in any way either, but I feel blessed. I feel super lucky.
Which brings me to my next question, Ilene, and I've always wondered about this. When you come from such a talented family, do you find other people who do not have that kind of talent, like, boring? I mean, no, but I'm really serious. I mean, there's only so much we can talk about.
Are we mortals boring to you folks?
Oh, stop it. Just stop it.
And do you have friends that have no talent?
We're in awe of people who make a success in business or the law, and not everybody in my family is in show business by any means.
And poor them.
My brother Richard is the funniest person in the world. Is a salesman. He's not in show business at all. And my cousin Steve is a lawyer, and my cousin Matthew is a teacher.
Okay.
So it's not everybody, but I will say that everybody's really funny.
Oh, there you go, bragging again. Okay.
Well, Ilene, this has been fantastic. Talking to you is a real inspiration to me, and I know to our listeners, because you have basically done it all, and you're still doing it. And
I'm trying.
Well, I can't tell you how much we appreciate your hanging out with us this morning. All right, Ilene, thanks so much.
It was a pleasure, Ilene.
My pleasure.
Okay.
Have a great day.
You too. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Wasn't that terrific? She sounds like a high-energy person.
Yes, and multi-talented. She does everything.
Wow. December 21st, when she's having her cabaret performance in Studio City, is very close to our wedding anniversary. We might want to think about that as something fun to do.
Okay, sounds good to me. But before we wrap things up, I want to remind everyone about our book, Where Hollywood Hides Celebrities in Paradise. The fact is, when the glare of life on the red carpet demands escape, Santa Barbara is the place where Hollywood hides. Our book is packed with full-color photos of the celebrities and landmarks that make our hometown such an amazing place. It's the ultimate Santa Barbara souvenir and makes a great gift. Where Hollywood Hides is available at Amazon. And Bob, I'm sure you have something else going on at Amazon, right?
The world of screenplay contests has sort of exploded, and the best way for people to become recognized as a screenwriter is to do well in a screenplay contest. With that in mind, I've written a book called Stop Screwing Around and Win Your Next Screenplay Contest. It's a step-by-step guide to winning Hollywood's biggest screenwriting competitions, and I really wrote that because I was seeing an awful lot of scripts that missed the mark, and I'm trying to help people get on that path to getting paid for their work. And I have another book for those screenwriters who are reaching the professional caliber, Stop Screwing Around and Write a Screenplay That Sells. That's a step-by-step guide to writing a script that actually gets produced. Both of my books and Where Hollywood Hides Santa Barbara are available on Amazon. Until next time, this is Bob McCullough.
And this is Suzanne Herrera-McCullough. We'll see you in the movies.
They come from Chilicombes and Paducas with their bazookas to get their names up in lights.
All armed with photos from local roados, with their hair in ribbons and legs in tights. Hurry for Hollywood! You have no way of knowing who'll make good.
Maybe you'll be another Papa Dion, your name in neon. If you get lucky, you could. Yes, buddy, you'll arrive if you can top his 5. Hooray for Hollywood!